news seems to change every single day. There's breaking news, breaking this, breaking that. There's the bombs over here, bombs over there. The talks of tariffs, talks of tax, talks of this, talks of that. Sound like fucking Dr. Seuss over here, but... What is going on? Happy Monday morning if you're listening to this when the podcast drops. It is Monday, June 30th, and whether or not we're in World War III right now is completely unknown. I'm recording this on Friday. This will drop Monday, and so, I mean, look, if you said, a couple days ago we would be in World War III, I would believe you. If you said 20 hours ago that we wouldn't be in World War III, I would believe you. And, one of the things, it's interesting because, wherever you get your news, regardless of where you get it, it seems to change now that we're in the 24-hour news cycle, instead of just like having a story run in the newspaper, 50, 60 years ago, whatever, whenever the old-time propaganda used to happen, there would be like a story. It would run for about a week. It would be the biggest thing in the news. And then, people will be talking about it for like a week or two or whatever. People that are around my age, I'm about to turn 30 years old, have no idea of that, have no bearing of that whatsoever, because for our entire life cycle, I guess, lives, we've been in the 24-hour news cycle, and so news seems to change every single day. There's breaking news, breaking this, breaking that. There's the bombs over here, bombs over there. The talks of tariffs, talks of tax, talks of this, talks of that. I sound like fucking Dr. Seuss over here, but, can I get less cats going through my fucking... All right, we're going to try doing the rest of this without any of that nonsense going on, but... the 24-hour news cycle has added nothing but stress, fear, anxiety, and honestly, disruption into our society. And I have, I watch politics like it's a sport. For me, it's always been kind of my reality TV, my sports. I've really enjoyed that. The really only sport that I enjoy watching is jiu-jitsu or martial arts, UFC, that kind of stuff. I'll see some highlights here and there of other sports, but for the most part, I don't keep up with any of it. For me, I like the politics side. I'm more interested in people and conversations. I like psychology, and so those are the types of things that really do interest me. But over the last few years, I think probably around 2019, there was a few world events that went on, and I think more and more people were starting to wonder why their dollars weren't going as far, or why their family members were yelling at them at dinner tables, or those types of things. And so more and more people have been starting to pay attention to the media, the news, and the news obviously has gotten more and more adept at fueling our, like I said, negative emotions, anxiety, depression, anger, resentment, those types of things. And it could be broken down until the sun comes down, the cows come home, or whatever saying you like to use, as to why we're so interested and why we're so intrigued into the news. But, and what it always reminds me of is, I don't know if you guys have read the book. I'm assuming if you listen to this podcast, you've read the book 1984. It's one of my favorite literary works of that I've ever read. And there's an interesting part in 1984, and maybe I should have saved this part for later, but there's an interesting part where the guy from the Brotherhood, I can't remember his name, is talking to the main character, and he's opening the book, and basically it's just like the book is just like a playbook. It's just like all the plays they're gonna run, and it talks about how consistently people are having to be kept in a state of confusion, wondering who the allies are, who the enemies are, those types of things. And that their society is in this perpetual war where they're fighting one side and there's another country that's their allies, and then 5 years later it seems to be the reverse, but nobody really ever understands why or how. And if anything, they kind of delete the history from the books, and so like, oh no, this ally has always been our ally. We've never fought against these people, and these people that we're fighting against have always been the enemy. We've never allied with them at all. And it really does seem to mirror the way that here in North America we get our news as well. Like all of a sudden this country's our ally and this country's our enemy, and it's never been any different than that. But, if you look back 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we were either sending money to them, sending development to them, sending training to them, sending weapons to them, etc. And it's like now we actually have to fight against these people that we've trained, funded, and armed. And, like I said, consistently these things are changing, and it almost like I've never had, hatred towards other countries like that. I was just barely missed by the whole 9/11 fever of like hating Middle Eastern countries. But, I've never felt like, oh, this country is my ally or this country is my enemy. Other than just watching like Bond movies. You see the Russian guy as the bad guy. You see, in more, modern espionage spy movies and shows, it's become more Middle Eastern than Russian, whatever. Like I said, these people are allies, these people are enemies. They've always been allies, they've always been enemies, and it seems to switch back and forth. And so that idea from the novel 1984 has always been one of the parts of the book that sticks out to me the most, because as I was reading it, I was like, this sounds oddly familiar, until I was able to put 2 and 2 together and make 5. And that's a cute little reference from the book. So, the reason I started talking about this, the reason I started getting on about it is because I think we are addicted to this type of news cycle. And so whether you get your news from the state propaganda, which I consider to be anything on TV, anything from a quote unquote reputable source, as some of the older generations might call it. But basically, if it comes from the government, it's state propaganda. Everybody in human history has kind of grown to understand that, if the government's telling me something, whether that be the news, whatever it could be, there's probably going to be some sort of a slant or a spin on it that benefits them. Otherwise, they would never, and if they ever admit to, anyways, I don't want to get down that road, but wherever you get your news, whether it be TV, newspaper, which I highly doubt, most likely it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I still refuse to call it anything other than Twitter, but wherever you get your news, most of the time, I'm going to be honest, it's fake. It's not real. If it's even close to resembling anything of the truth, then it's unverifiable. It's either, like I said, fake, unprovable, or totally useless to your life all together. And I think that a lot of us, we drag, I guess, these ourselves through these news cycles in an attempt to stay informed or just be right or understand what's wrong or whatever it is. And so, we get drawn into it. But one of the things that, and then the idea, because half the shit that you read on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or anything like that isn't even really news. It's usually an opinion-based. It's kind of like an editorial, I think they call it in news and journalism realm. But even half those opinions, there's are not even real opinions. We hear talk about, obviously, you see all these celebrities posting, oh, this is how I'm going to vote, this is what I'm going to vote. And obviously, they're not just making those fucking statements without getting some sort of financial compensation. But then there's the other side of the internet, which most people aren't even aware of or don't like to stay in, what do they call it? ignorant bliss of is the fact that most of these opinions aren't even real opinions. They're all like completely farmed by these like bot farms that they're complete fabrications. There's like nobody really thinks those opinions. Those opinions are actually curated to get a response, whether it be positive or negative. They're not interested in what it is. They just want a response, a click, a view, a way to stimulate ad revenue. That's basically what it is. And so the more and more people think that they're doing it to divide people or piss people off, which I certainly do agree with parts of that. But at the end of the day, it does all just come down to trying to get attention, trying to steal your energy, trying to steal your focus, trying to steal your money in some ways if they're trying to get you to subscribe to whatever news source that you're falling prey to. But none of the news makes your life better. You know, there's that saying in journalism, if it bleeds, it leads. And the idea is like if it, I don't know, if you can see a trail, if you can see blood, if you get a little pain point, if you get people's reaction, then it's leading you to something. It's a lead, you know, for a story. But it's not leading you to a better life. It's not leading you to a better version of yourself. We don't know the full story. We never do. And even when we do, it's years and years later. And even if you do find out years and years later what the truth actually is in regards to world events or local events, it has some sort of a narrative or spin on it. Just simply due to the fact that, like, look, if you read a history book, turns out the fucking good guys win every single time. And in the textbooks, it's like, oh, thank goodness these guys won, and now we get these beautiful textbooks that depict how they won and why they won. And so I know that from my own personal perspective that keeping up with the news and consuming the news does not improve my life. And like I said, it leads me to wasting a lot of time, wasting a lot of energy, feeling negative emotions, or sometimes feeling positive emotions, but for the wrong reasons. And it doesn't actually improve your life. It lowers your focus. It lowers the sense of, I guess, happiness that you have. It increases your anxiety. It increases your anger towards others. And it increases the amount of arguments and debates that you're going to have. Most of the opinions, and I can't stress this enough, most of the opinions on social media or on the news or anything like that are not real opinions. They're either curated from bot farms or they're just hearsay, and they're basically just trying to make something be the most triggering perspective that you can possibly get. And the reason that is, like I said, to keep your attention, to keep your emotions high, and to keep your energy flowing towards them, as opposed to actually, you know, living a fulfilling life. And so what actually makes your life better? You know, is it just listening to podcasts and self-development and reading books like that? Maybe. But, you know, if you think about what the human being actually is, your mind, your body, and your soul, your spirit, whatever word you like to use towards that, is actual uplifting and intellectually stimulating things. To some degree. Let's just talk about each thing in, I guess, isolation. Mind, body, and your soul. You know, if you think about your mind, does it benefit your mind to sit and listen to YouTube videos, podcasts, news segments on social media, those types of things? What does it benefit your mind and put you in a better place to learn about some bombings in a country you've never visited and don't ever plan on living in or being in or anything like that? You never met somebody. You met one guy one time at a flea market whose cousin was from there or some shit like that. Like, does it benefit your mind to know about all these events, these I'm trying not to use words that trigger people, and by people I mean the algorithm. But you know, these world events, does it benefit your mind, or would your mind be better off with a short walk, a journal session, reading a book that you find enjoyable, or actually, you know, like I said, mentally, intellectually stimulating, some philosophy, some spiritual stuff, those types of things? Does it benefit your body to win arguments? Does it benefit your body to hear the news? Does it benefit your body to do all these things? Obviously not, because most of these people that are listening, and when I say these people, I mean us, me, you, etc. When we're listening to YouTube videos, podcasts, etc., what are we doing? We're sitting, we're fucking arguing, we're sharing reels, we're doing this, we're doing that. Sharing infographics on our fucking Instagram story. Like, obviously, what does this do? Distracts us from the things that we're actually physically doing. Like I said, going for walks, doing workouts, those types of things. And, your soul. A lot of people, myself included, think about other people's lives more than we think about our own. We're consuming the news, we're consuming the media, we're consuming podcasts, we're consuming YouTube videos, we're consuming everything like that. And, we pay more attention to that rather than to give thanks to our Creator or God or whatever word you like to use for it, but actually connecting with Mother Earth and God, or whatever, like I said, whatever fucking terminology you like to use. I like to use the word God, but connecting more with that feeling of connectiveness and oneness and happiness and love and compassion. I've never ever heard a news story that made me feel those things. I've never there's uplifting things, but there's nothing that makes me feel truly connected to other people than actually meditating on these types of thoughts, reading about these types of thoughts, having some prayer, having some scripture, having some, food for the soul. Those types of things feed hope, compassion, love, etc. And so I'm just kind of trying to think about, the things that actually do improve your life, because it sure as hell ain't the news. It sure as hell ain't media. And it sure as hell ain't your opinions from your favorite political pugnant or whatever it is. The things that make our lives better are, fitness, financial well-being, a better relationship with our loved ones, our family members, the ones that want to argue with you and start debates at dinner tables. Connecting with them and understanding what makes them tick and why they think the way they think, or why they feel the way they feel, or, Lord forbid, you could even help them with how they feel. But, your relationships with other people and God, taking care of your mind, body, and soul, those types of things will improve your life a million times more than understanding why a country is bombing another country that, like I said, you've never been to, won't ever be to, or don't even, there's no connectiveness. It's always just trying to show you things that don't matter in your life and convince you that they do, so that you can forget about the things that actually matter in your life. And so you're not called to know everything. You don't need to know everything. There's no reason for you to know everything. You're not supposed to know everything. And so if you're on the path of trying to figure out everything, I think that you're being distracted. I think that when we think about what we're called to do, it's usually produce something, make something, be of service to those around you, take care of those around you. You're not called to know everything. You're just called to do something. It's this idea of like, oh, I want to be aware though. I want to be aware. And all of us are just kind of like striving to be aware of fucking everything all at once. We want to know about why things are happening, what's actually happening, where they're happening, when they're happening, why, who's doing them, those types of things. And so there's this idea that the more awareness that you have, the better your life will be. The more, I can make better decisions. I can do, the best decision you can do is unplug from all that shit, because awareness is a virtue for sure. To be ignorant is not what I'm calling for, but to take action towards making your life better or the people around you's lives better action will always beat awareness. I know there's so many people out there that the types of people that I could call if I'm in a pinch. The people that, if you have a flat tire, if you have a leaky roof, if you have this, if you have that, whatever thing is going on, your computer's fucked, your phone's fucked, you can't figure something out. The type of people you call aren't the people that are brushed up on world economics or geopolitical fucking turmoil. The people that you call for help when you truly need help in your life, when you're in danger, when you have an issue going on that you need solved, are people that take action, are people that have knowledge of what's going on, how to change a light bulb, how to fix a flat tire, how to do an oil change. You're not calling the people that, have a good grasp of foreign affairs, unless you're a fucking diplomat trying to make, world shifting decisions. Chances are, these are the types of skills and the types of personalities that you're going to be calling on for assistance. I think that a lot of us are so, and I think part of the thing about, hearing about all this news is that it dilutes the things that we care about, that we truly have energy and compassion for. We hear about how, people are willing to donate money and donate this and donate that and send all of these things to other countries overseas, but, they have no idea that their sister, their brother, is struggling financially or is struggling emotionally or is struggling spiritually or whatever it could possibly be. And I think that so many of us are so focused on, being on the right side of history as opposed to just being on the right side of fucking helping your family members. How about that? How about being on the right side of being a useful citizen and member of your community? And I think that, like I said, in this age of clickbait and emotional headlines and people not even fucking reading articles, you'd do yourself better to know more about the world around you. And when I mean the world around you, I don't mean the entire world. I mean the community that you live in, the places that you actually see, the people that you actually meet, the community around you. You'd be better off knowing more about that and knowing more about those people that you share a community with than you would knowing about turmoil in the Middle East or turmoil in fucking every other part of the world. Because chances are you have just as much turmoil in your community. As above, so below. I'm sure you guys have heard that saying before. But like I said, if you're concerned about making the world a better place, if you're concerned about knowing more about the world, start with what's underneath your feet. Start with the ground and the community that's around you. Stop caring as much about or feeding into this thing about world leaders and this person does that, this person does that, trying to support this politician from either your country or another country more than you even try and support the people that actually make your life better, your manager, your boss, your supervisor, whatever it possibly is. I think that more people could tell you more about Donald Trump or fucking Mark Carney or any of these idiots more than they could tell you about their own uncle, brother, sister, mother, father, boss, coworkers, etc. We know more about people that we follow on reality TV, or for men, it's we know more about famous athletes that can throw a ball through a fucking hoop than we know about the fucking people that actually, truly, genuinely love and care about us. And so, in this age of trying to figure out everything, how about we just try and figure out our communities, figure out ourselves, start with ourselves, because so many people feel good, reading their fucking their Instagram feed because their algorithm's just completely lying to them and just telling them whatever they want to hear, and they're so content with sharing memes that try and prove them right or whatever it is, but then they look in the mirror and they're completely disgusted. They're not happy with themselves. The news doesn't fucking matter. You do. Like, you actually have a role to play in this world. And the more you're sitting and staring at a fucking screen and watching the news, the less you're able to actually fulfill your role in society. And so here's your fucking challenge of the week. Go the entire week without hearing the news. When people bring up the news, you say, I'm not interested in the news. If it's important, I'll hear about it. Not interested. Thank you. Not cool. We're having a debate. I had somebody reach out the other day to me on Instagram no, it was Facebook. A buddy of mine from back in the day. I used to work out at the same gym with him. And we've, chatted here and there back and forth. And I think I posted a meme that was kind of like not displaying Trump in a positive light. And he goes, oh, so you're off the Trump train now. And, I basically was like, okay, bro. That's because I could just tell the conversation wasn't coming from a place of like, oh, tell me about how you feel about this or that or whatever. It was more about like, at least the way that it felt to me. I don't know. I could be completely misconstruing the intention, but it seemed to be like a gotcha moment. And it's kind of like, dude, you don't even understand the way I think, the way I thought in the past. Opinions can change. I've values can change, etc. And it's like, dude, you're not even trying to have a conversation. You're just trying to take a shot at me. So it's like the reply can simply just be like, okay, man. All right, bro. Thinking about you, praying about you, love you, wish you well. You don't even have to have the conversation. And so when people talk to you about it, just fucking check out. Be like, dude, all right. Much love. Let's go have a fucking workout together. Let's go for a run. We can chat about it after the run if you really still have energy for it. Go a week without the news. See how you feel. And instead of debating with your family members about politicians or anything like that, ask them if there's anything you can do to help them out. Say, hey, what's going on in your life? Can I help you out at all? And on that note, I think that's a beautiful place to wrap this episode up. That's a little bit longer than I actually anticipated ranting about this topic, but we'll see how it goes. You guys will have to let me know what you guys think, and I think that's a great place to wrap it up. So if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on any podcast platform, anything like that, please, my other request for you and challenge for you is like, comment, subscribe. Leave a little review, 5 stars, leave a little note, whatever it is. Tell me how good I am. Tell me what I can improve at. And I will see you next Monday. Much love. Peace out. Love you all. Bye.